Hey, Yurt, can you believe it's been 20 years? 20 years of Randy Orton? Like, where's time gone?
That's a long goddamn time.
This dude was wrestling when we was in high school. But we have to say, we knew he had that it factor.
Houston, we have a problem.
Yes! What you gonna do? 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 What you gonna do?
Oh yeah.
We're here.
Woo! Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this episode of the Wrestling Realm Now podcast.
Now.
Friday, real Dwayne Allen here.
Yes, sir.
Has the third brother Hugh here.
Yes, that's me.
Yo, how y'all feeling?
I'm great. I'm feeling
Pretty
lovely.
darn good, man. Feeling pretty darn good.
It was a little chilly outside, so I had to throw on a Wrestling Realm hoodie. You know, available online at WrestlingRealm.com. If you want one, it's right there. See, boom. Right there.
Pop. Hold on, we can do that.
There it is.
It's funny. I had to fill in for a golf show the other day, and then it was like I'm sitting there like putting together the pod, right? And it was like air horns, and it was like a spot where it goes. I was like, oh, so you gotta put this in manually, but you know we can just press one button.
Yes, sir.
But like, how many hoodies can you wear and get an extra piece of chicken from Royal Farms?
I'll wait.
Just one.
You know, right after Fight Club in DC, me and brother Hugh stepped in the Royal Farms, and you know, the guy straight told brother Hugh, like, look, I'm gonna give you an extra piece of chicken because I with that hoodie. And I was like, yo,
got new followers off the hoodie.
New followers off
And
the
chicken.
hoodie.
Walking billboard.
Yes, sir.
That's what it's all about. Shout out to Kofi Weaston in the live Twitch as always from the Dirty Hills
Here we go.
podcast. Let's get it popping. Man, how y'all feeling though?
I'm good. I just came off a nice little day with my niece at the zoo.
Hey,
You know,
wonderful,
chilling.
wonderful,
Yes,
wonderful.
Sir, yes, sir. But how you feeling, Brian?
You know, another day I'm here. I'm good though. You know, I've been real busy on the Patreon. Y'all go check that out. As low as $1, you can get some content, and then you know you want to be a Patreon, spend $10, you can get extra content. You really want to get behind the scenes and see how we put these great shows together when we in a studio. Just $20 a month. But if anything you sow a seed into this great Wrestling Realm show, we'll be mighty happy, proud. Matter of fact, let me go ahead and give a shout out to our new Patreons. Last week I told you when we was here, we had the Daily Smark and we had Brother Cal. But guess what? Since then, we've added some more Patreons. We've added Queen PR from Those Wrestling Girls. We added It's Jay Rich, Justin Avalis. Make sure you give him a follow on Twitter. We added 2 longtime supporters from day one, baby. That being the one and only, we'll see him this weekend, Dr. D. And of course, the Shark.
My guy.
Dr. Dizzle.
Follow up by Shark.
Yeah, follow up by the Shark, Sean Williams. And then
must have made
last, but certainly not least, from the Banks vs. Davis podcast, the realest Banks him, or I should say, says I am not Banks on Twitter. So we want to give a special thank you to each and every one of them who decided to invest in the Wrestling Realm. And we promise you, it's not too many things I can promise because there's not a lot of things in my control, but y'all know me. This is what I want the most out of life when it comes to career-wise, and that's this wrestling business. We promise we'll give you great content. Dig it?
Yeah.
But yeah, so the Realness is in the building. You know, he's hiding behind right now, but he did say that he got some special stuff coming to the Patreon. You want to let the people know now? You want to let them know later?
Now we can let them know now. Absolutely. I will officially be finally doing Realness Reacts. It'll be exclusively on Patreon where I can do and say whatever I want to. I'll be able to explore a lot of different topics in depth. It'll be a lot of hot takes. It'll be quite a few conversations, and I'll definitely be incorporating a Q&A. So, the fans can kind of get to know me a little bit better and get my take on some subjects that we don't always get a chance to cover on the show. But I'm looking forward to it, man. It's going to be really, really fun and exciting. It's been something I've been working on for a while. If anybody knows the Realm, I used to do the Realness Report. It was written editorial style, and then Realness Reacts was a short piece that was for Instagram for a little bit. We were just basic sound bites, but you know what? I think the brand is expanding at a rapid rate. You know what I mean? And now is the time to kind of just come in and do my own thing. I got we add another show to the roster, so Realness Reacts will be coming very, very soon to Patreon, and I'm looking forward to it, man. I'm extremely excited about it, man. It's just, trust me, it's something you're not gonna want to miss. And if you thought I gave people something to talk about before, best believe I plan on doing the same thing 10 times over. So looking forward to it.
I'm looking forward to it, man. Especially, your brother's busy. So sometimes the way to catch up on how each other feel, if not the group chat, is just consuming content. I've never one time I think I hadn't talked to Dwayne in a couple of days. He's like, yeah, man, I listened to your show. I was like, oh, you did? I was like, well, I guess you would, but you was like, yeah, listen to your show. And hold on, sidebar. I'm watching so matter of fact, you know how we do it.
Yep. Spit it out. What you watching?
So I'm watching Unforgiven 2003. And Stacy Keibler, Tess, and Scott Steiner caught my attention.
Oh, my man Tess.
Yeah, I was about to say, that's why I brought it up, because I know, like, when we was in middle school, yo, that was Hugh's guy. He would walk around school. Tess.
This is a test.
What?
Yeah,
woo! That song used to rock, bro.
Yeah, he would walk around saying,
I never knew.
Yeah.
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 If I'm not mistaken, Hugh's guys was Kane, Tess, and Billy Gunn.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay. I mean, everybody like Austin and Rock, but you know how everybody got like the ones that everybody like, and then you got the ones that like maybe just you like. That's how it was.
No, yeah, I mean everybody has that group of guys like these are my personal favorites. So.
Yeah, but yeah, Stacy Keibler was really in a love triangle with these two dudes. That's the crazy part. How far did Scott Steiner fall off though? My man was at Royal Rumble, No Way Out, wasn't at WrestleMania 19, and then he was no longer back in the world title picture.
I mean, I went back and watched the era briefly. Not briefly, but like probably a couple months ago. Like, probably during the pandemic era of everything.
Yeah.
And I thought there was some sort of blow up between like Scott Steiner and the WWE. Maybe he was written off TV for something like that, but it just turns out he got injured. And then when he recovered from injury, he just went straight to TNA and we started working part-time for full-time money. So when you look at his run during that era, it's like, man, whatever happened to Scott? Because he was kind of being primed to be a top guy, which he was naturally. It was the light that we haven't seen in WWE, obviously in WCW. But I was like, whatever happened to him? I researched and it was like, oh no, he just got injured and then he didn't want to come back. He just decided to go to TNA. By the time he was out for a while, though, wrestling, he was out for like a year and a half.
Yeah,
and his contract ran out, and he chose not to resign. Decided to go to TNA, probably considerably similar money to work nowhere near the date. So
yeah, you out once, that can be a lifetime.
Now WWE Hall of Famer.
How about that?
Yep.
But yeah, Brother Hugh, what you watched this week?
I'm honestly, Dwayne put that Jay Lethal.
Yes,
he put it in the chat like a couple days ago, man. I must have watched that bad boy like 100 times, man, and just been laughing my butt off. I went back, watched all of Jay Lethal's like old stuff when he was Black Machismo, all that stuff, man. That guy, he could really impersonate, man. He has a talent. He has a talent. I was just in here geeking. You know how I am. I'm a big clown. So was here just
You ain't
laughing my
lie
little
about
butt
that.
off. You funny.
You always get me. I got you.
Dang, you caught you slipping, brother.
He did. I'm gonna let him have it. I'm gonna let him have it though. Yeah. But yeah, that's basically what I've been watching. I didn't really watch anything of any relevance this week. Just a lot of work actually, but you know.
Yeah.
Realness.
How about you, Realness?
Outside of Raw and SmackDown and everything else, I was watching TNA Sacrifice 2007.
Oh, okay.
And the main event is see you can go back, back in those days, TNA was my enemy because I was, I wanted TNA to be really, really good, but then, it's just like, oh geez, I don't like it when my favorite wrestlers are split, right?
Got you.
Because that means no more action figures, no more seeing them on TV, no more T-shirts. Because if you like seeing WCW, WWE, look here I go with this Realness React stuff. When WCW and WWE were on the same playing field, when one went to the other company, there was no drop off. You were going to get an action figure, you were going to get a T-shirt, you were going to get TV exposure, whether you liked it or not. Booking, here or there, regardless, you want to see it. And, everybody in TNA was an upstart, but I digress. So, in 2007, I was scared of TNA. I was like, oh geez, Kurt Angle left, but it was Sting versus Kurt Angle versus Christian in the main event for the NWA title. It was a strange period in time because this was around the time Kurt Angle had just they were about to transition from the NWA titles. They were dropping the NWA from TNA completely, and they were going to come out with their own titles. And triple threat match between Sting, Kurt Angle, Christian. Three of them pretty much in their prime. Well, not really Sting, but Sting was still running and gunning. And Kurt Angle ended up coming out with the win. They didn't really announce him to be the NWA World Champion. They just announced him as the World Heavyweight Champion. And not too long after that, he debuted the. Let's put it this way. We were introduced to the official TNA World Heavyweight Championship title. So, I can go back and appreciate the good wrestling match that it was, and it kind of takes me back to a place, where I was as a wrestling fan, which is always fun. So, yep, that's what I watched. Sacrifice 2007 TNA wrestling.
Cool, man. Yeah. A lot of this stuff, like we was talking about this probably episodes ago on Pluto. You can watch, a lot of TNA wrestling, and you see, like, they had a lot of good matches, and this is the thing I do like about going back and watching old stuff is you're not caught up into the actual booking of the stories. You're literally just watching the match. You might obviously remember like some of the stories if you, especially with the Attitude Era stuff, but like really with the Ruthless Aggression Era or TNA or even Ring of Honor, you'll just look at like, all right, I just want to see this match and these two people against each other and just take it on the surface what it is. It can help sometimes. Like I'm actually enjoying this Scott Steiner match, but at the time I don't think I was like really like, oh man, I gotta go see this. This is going, it's the second match on the card, and that could be a depth slot sometimes.
Right, yeah.
So that's how it is, before we get into today's show, just want to give a quick what do they say, housekeeping or
housekeeping.
Let people know, we mentioned Patreon. I got a couple episodes on there. I talked about AEW Dark being a demotion, and I also talked about the women's division and how I personally believe the women just aren't getting treated fairly as my reactions to Becky Lynch's comments. If the fellas want to talk about it later, they shall do so. But also make sure you check out this week's Wrestling for the Culture. I had JBouji on ahead of his match with Reverend Ron T. Hunt, and I'm supposed to be mutual.
Yeah, but, brother, how you gonna pull this one off?
But I'm not because if Jay wins, then I gotta wear Crocs, and I don't.
Yeah, buddy.
Crocs. So I'm looking for the good brother.
I'm gonna get you some gibbets too, man.
Man, I hope.
You don't know about the gibbets, man. You put
he's out of touch, man.
Right.
No, I'm an old man.
Man, I'm
gonna get you some gibbets, man, to put on your Crocs. Make it nice and pretty for you.
Look. Jay was on there talking reckless about sports mode and all that. Everything else, we had a great interview, great conversation. When we went to the Crocs, I'm like, no, I'm not doing it. So looking for the good brother, Reverend Ron T. Hunt. We spent some time down at Wale Mania. So he said he got me. He said he's gonna take care of business in the ring May 20th. So that's what I'm looking forward to happening because I don't want to wear the Crocs.
No disrespect, Ron. But let's go, Jay Bizzle. Let's go. Let's go, baby.
The Rum gonna be split in the building.
Wouldn't that be crazy? Wouldn't it be crazy if Brian H all of a sudden likes Crocs and he wants to get like wrestling Rum version of Crocs? Like, oh, I like Wendy's now. These are actually comfortable.
That's what I'm scared of.
That's what everybody says. Oh no, just stick your feet up. Yes.
The way you wear Crocs.
No, I don't. See, that's the thing. Everybody keeps it like, I've had a football player like, Coach, I ain't gonna lie to you, man. You might as well try and make your feet feel good. I'm like, oh man, wait a minute now.
They do.
This testosterone child is telling me I should try him out, and he has, feet like mine. So I'm like, oh.
I still haven't bought a pair, but they are.
But you have a pair. Yo, it was funny. He came over the house for something, right? I mean, he over here all the time, so it's nothing. So I was like, wait, he get in the car, he's like, yeah, I'm about to go shoot the football game. I'm like, you got Crocs on? I was like, why you got on Crocs?
Man said he had to be comfortable.
Man, that's right. I'm telling you, it's the best of both worlds. It's a shoe and it's a slide. Like, come on, man, and it's comfortable. Like, what?
That's what everybody says. That's the crazy
I stick
part.
with these. I stick with the slides.
Look, I got slides too. I ain't,
I know how you Realness come through. He's like, look, all right, we're gonna be over here all day. Take my shoes off, put my slides on. All right, where we at, Brian? Where we going? All right, we get to shooting.
Here's the catch though. Here's what everybody tells me. Like, listen, man, you got flat feet, so the Crocs they provide, better comfort and stability for your feet. And I'm like, man. If my feet right, my knees is right, my hips right, my back is right. So now I'm like, even the kids were like, just get a pair. Don't even choose the color. We'll just get a pair. I'm like,
Do it, Dwayne. Get it.
I'm fighting it.
Yeah. So I can't wait for the matches. You got the got the Takeover versus Shane Taylor promotion. So that's gonna be a good one coming up in New Jersey. But what's this? Is this the right button? Let's get into today's show. We got Randy Orton. Randy Orton, man, 20 years.
20 years? Wait. Wait. Wow. We about to talk about Randall Keith Orton and his 20 years in the WWE. That's what you ready to talk about?
Yes, sir.
Hold on. 1 minute. No, I can't. There's no way in the world I'm gonna miss this one. Like, I can't. It's Randy Orton, for goodness sake. Hold on, give me a second. Boom.
He's here.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Realness.
We would play the music, but we ain't trying to get flagged for copyright. But the Realness is in the building.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
This is what they got. This just in, the Realness is in the building.
This music in my head, I'm jamming.
It's good to see your face again.
I have arrived.
And we sure the ladies love it too.
I'm back in the space again.
Now we gotta give him the physical space, Hugh.
I know, right?
I'm back in the space again.
Right.
But yeah, Randy Orton, man. Randy Orton is back.
20 years. And how old is Randy Orton, by the way?
I don't even count. I know he's in his 40s, early 40s. I think 42, 41.
Yeah, I would say about 42.
This one you need
that
to research.
Is
hold on. I'm already on it. Hold on.
Oh, okay,
that's
cool.
Unreal.
Yeah, because your computer probably moved faster than mine.
Don't insult your computer that way. That's not cool.
I know, right?
Hey, look, man, me and this thing, I ain't even gonna call her. I know that's usually what guys do, but not in this case. It don't even deserve the pronoun.
Whoa, y'all got a lot going on over there.
Yeah,
that's got a little personal. What about you, bro? 42 years old, man. Come on now.
I was right.
Yep. What you want, a cookie?
Acknowledge me. Did you? So I know. Did you see Carmelo Hayes say that? And then he tweeted, "Read my lips" to the young Usos, Sikoa's the baby brother.
No,
I did catch that.
Yeah, he was like, "Read my lips," and then everybody was like, "Oh, he really said acknowledge me." But yeah, Randy Orton, 42 years old.
20 years in the business. You talking about a homegrown guy. He's never gone anywhere else, never trained anywhere else. Straight legend. right?
Mm-hmm.
Like it's crazy that you hear a lot of people say that Randy Orton went from being a legend killer to the legend. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like it's like where do we begin? I think when I watch Raw and the respect that has been paid to Randy Orton for his accomplishments, um, you know, to the WWE and just his overall career, man. Well, I thought it was definitely the right move to do at the end of the day.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a once in a lifetime talent. You know what I mean? And he doesn't always get the credit that he deserves, but he definitely deserves to be celebrated for his longevity. And just like think about it, at 42 years old, Diamond Dallas Page was just winning his first WCW World Heavyweight Championship. You know what I mean? Like, you know, that was 99, 2000 ish. He was top guy. You know, Randy Orton, 20 years skin in the game. Unreal stuff, man. He's given us countless memories. And he's one of the reasons I started watching wrestling again. Him and Shelton Benjamin around 2003-ish, 4-ish, that era. Yeah, like I saw him. He was the Intercontinental Champion. I believe he was with Evolution at the time. And I watched a match between him and Shelton Benjamin. And I was like, oh, okay, wait a minute. I remember seeing Randy Orton before that because I remember watching SmackDown. We were playing SmackDown. I believe Here Comes the Pain.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, he was on there. I didn't listen. Who's this guy with the shorts? And then, you know, we saw him on SmackDown with the bowl cut and the and the blue shorts and stuff like that. And I remember saying, like, you know, he's got a good size to him. This guy might be I can see him being a top guy one day. And I just didn't pay any mind because I was fake watching wrestling. Like, when I mean fake watching wrestling was my brother was watching it, and I was like, oh, I'm not watching wrestling. It's not the same, but I would sit there like this and watch for about 15, 20 minutes and catch up what was going on. And I would tell myself, oh, I'm trying to keep up what's going on for the game, you know, because we would always play the game. And you know, but eventually he became one of those guys, and I was like, okay. And he did not disappoint. I mean, we all have our favorite Randy Orton runs, you know, from top to bottom, heel, face, whatever. But unbelievable talent. So he deserves to be celebrated. Where's the applause at? Can we celebrate Randy Orton? Where's the applause?
Yeah, let's throw that one on there.
There we go.
Yeah. I'm so it's actually that was the first match I mentioned earlier. Second match is Randy Orton. You know, back to
it's only fitting.
Randy Orton versus Shawn Michaels. I want to know this. Oh, shout out to Queen PR just jumped in the chat. I want to know this. When did y'all realize he was gonna be a star? Like, for me, the moment he was in Evolution, I knew from there, Hall of Famer. And I know that's saying a lot. And I remember, for the sake of this conversation, I'm going to mention this person's name. I remember talking to my former co-host, my cousin Bear. And this is long before Wrestle Talk with Bear and B-Dub. It was just, you know, them random times we see each other.
Oh, wow, that had been a while ago.
Yeah, this is like, we're talking 2003 when we had this conversation.
Yeah,
and I said to him, we was talking and he was like, yo, you just look at Randy. He's got it. Like the presence, the look, the moves, he had it. And so, like, for me, it was instant. I knew he was going to be like special. When did it click for y'all? See, because, like, you know, obviously I ain't know Dwayne yet, and Hugh was in high school. We went to separate high schools, and he ain't answer his phone.
Nope.
So when did it click for y'all that you knew he was going to be special?
I would say for me, but first of all, I never even really liked him. But once he got rid of that dumb move, what was the overdrive or whatever?
Yeah, I think so.
You took it back. You took it way back.
When he got rid of that mess, I was like, oh my gosh. But you're right. You're correct. As soon as I saw him the very first time when he debuted, you can tell he had something about him, and that he was going to be a big name player down the road. I would say the pivot, like the changing point, was I would say Evolution. Like you said, once he joined Evolution, you knew, oh, he's in there with the big dogs.
Yep.
Triple H, Ric Flair. You know, he's been chosen. He's the one. So it's like he had no choice but to grow and be this superstar, this megastar, this legend. You know, just being around those type of guys at that time, they were running things. You know, so that had to be it for me.
You know, I was gonna say real quick. I'm not gonna lie to you. Y'all know I'm not a Batista fan by any means. Like, you know, he's a Hall of Famer.
Well, neither am I. I got.
But
he's never one of my guys.
Yeah, like I get heat for it all the time. But
I couldn't stand him.
I didn't think like that about Batista. So it wasn't just because he was with the, association with Triple H and Ric Flair. It wasn't just because of that. Like to me, it was what I saw out of Randy Orton. Not just because like they chose him, because we seen Triple H with other people, but like Orton was special. And he lived up to expectations.
I mean, you just knew that they was going to nurture what he had, though. You know what I'm saying? Once he joined Evolution, and you knew they was going to take that and just push him to the moon. Those two guys right there, just right off the top. Come on, man, you can't lose with that. Plus, his father is in the background.
Yeah.
So I think one of the greatest things that Randy Orton could have done is when he paid respects to Mick Foley in his his Hall of Fame speech that he was given, as I call it. As he was celebrating his 20 years, he said, first and foremost, I want to be the first one to say, if it wasn't for Mick Foley, I wouldn't be in the situation I am now. He's usually not the first person you hear people thank. So I think that was refreshing to hear him give him, props and kudos, because it was like feuds like that he had with Mick Foley that it put him in a different space. But Mick Foley was notorious for taking people and putting them in that space, right? Mick
Write
Foley.
That down. That's a show.
I mean, that's we got to do a superstar spotlight on the genius and the career of Mick Foley, because you look at Mick Foley look at three guys that he kind of took to the moon when they were in rough places, right? The Undertaker didn't really know what they were doing with him at the time. Mankind debuts, right?
Yep.
Historic. You look at Triple H, right? Every time Triple H needed some grit or some edge, or someone to kind of, give him, in both situations, that's Cactus Jack, right? You look at The Rock, you know what I mean? Tuning them up for the big dance, you know what I mean?
Facts.
Those the brutal matches they used to have, right? And then you look at Randy Orton, he did the same thing. You got to be a special talent to be able to do that. Ric Flair is another one that does that very well. Sting, you know what I mean? And now Randy Orton has done that same thing for so many younger superstars coming up that, was done for him.
Right.
Yeah.
So Mick Foley, his feud with Mick Foley, obviously his feud with Triple H, and then I would say for me, it was his feud with The Undertaker. He was so young, but I remember I was polarized by that feud. They did it so well, especially with his father involved. You got Cowboy Bob. I love the run with him and his father. His father was this manager. Like, it doesn't get any better than that, because he got to be ace again, right? He got to, kind of be an older version of himself, which was perfect because it fit right into the storyline, But like, I remember I used to find myself going back and watching young Randy Orton matches, and because he was just that good. There was some areas I didn't like. Anything where Randy Orton has the bald head, I don't like it. I never liked bald head Randy Orton. I'm just that guy.
That's like 2012 though, right?
No, he had multiple bald. He has a bald head now. Okay. I'm not a fan of it, but you get older, more mature. You have to.
We can't be hating on the bald people just because you got your good hair still.
No, it ain't that good. But I prefer. Randy Orton. Randy Orton's like any other pro. He changes his look based off what era he's in. Based off what he's trying to do. So.
I'm sorry. That's a nice mug.
Yeah.
Oh, the one he keeps sipping on right there.
Yeah, that's a nice mug. Where can I get one of those? Yeah, where can I get those?
Right there on the screen, WrestlingRealmNow.com.
Okay. All right, thank you.
That's what happens when you had a market manager on the show. Ain't it great? Ain't it great? I was drinking my keto coffee though.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, with non-dairy almond creamer, and guess what? I didn't even put sugar in it.
No sugar.
No sugar. I had no sugar since Easter. Proud of myself.
Wish I could say the same. Struggling.
See, that's why I stay away from you, because you like to eat candy, brother.
Now,
I got a whole bag of almonds.
I'm fine as long as I'm away from it. But if it's in my face, I'm like this, and I got to make a decision. It's a good chance I'm not gonna make the right decision.
Let me tell you how much I love my children.
Being honest.
Monday, I made them French fries.
Oh,
today, I made them chicken nuggets in the air fryer. Now I had snapper. Like that was the first time I ever made snapper, and I was like, "Oh, this is pretty good."
But I was like,
"Huh?
Bones? Any bones?
Nah, boneless." And this is the first time I was like,
was
"Man,
it red snapper?"
It's look, it said it in the bag.
Sorry, my bad. I'm getting carried away with the fish.
Right.
My fault. Go
No,
ahead.
it was,
Go
but
ahead.
but I was like, look, shoot, I'm a snapper, okay, but yeah. So I made sure. I've been eating healthy. I'm trying to get back down to like when we did that first photo shoot when the 2X shirts was hanging off of me. like right that picture over there. Well, y'all can't see it, but that's when I knew.
All good, man. Trust me.
When he was doing the Brian Waters pose.
What's the Brown? Show me the Brown.
Hey, by the way, who does it better, him or Gacy?
Me. He got that from me when we was when we was at CZW.
Wow.
All right, we
Brian
don't need
Waters
that
pose.
to go viral. They were like, Joe, podcaster claims Joe Gacy stole it. Like, no, it's a joke.
No, it's a joke.
Hey, I don't care what they say as long as they subscribe.
Right.
Got 2 words for you. But yeah, man, just talk about Randy Orton. You look at him, here's a guy who, when you really think about all the stuff that he's done, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like even through his, challenges and his immaturity, he still like rose above and rose to the occasion. And like he said to Drew McIntyre, it was like so real. He was like, yeah, I may have messed up, but I was so good they kept me around.
Sorry. Hey, yo. Oh, that's typical Randy Orton. He's a jerk.
Yeah, right.
It's like, because he got, first of all, I think Randy Orton got fired. Because remember, he had 3 strikes. Remember the wellness policy?
Yeah.
He had 3 strikes and like sat out for a year and came back.
But no, he wasn't. I don't think he was out a whole year.
I don't think it was that long either. But
yeah, we was trying to do this the math the other day on MacMania. Randy Orton in the 20 years has never missed all 4 of the big 4. You know what I mean? Like usually somebody on top, they'll take a year off. Randy Orton's never took a whole year off.
Anyway, sorry. I just threw me off. He's such a jerk. It's funny.
Yeah, right. He is. That's like typical heel Randy. And like,
I think the worst part is, it's terrible.
No, go ahead. Yeah.
He wasn't lying.
Right. That's the funny part.
Right.
Everybody knows Randy Orton's history. He's like, look, man, you making excuses. You must not have been that good because I did all that stuff and more, and they didn't get rid of me. So
yeah, he even said like, he said it's embarrassing when he think like now to when he's, there's that cameraman that's been there 20 years. Oh yeah, we remember when Randy used to put holes in the wall. Like, look at Cody Rhodes. He come back. He said, Randy's nice.
No, yeah.
No, you're not supposed to be that way.
I'm sure Shawn Michaels went through the same thing when he returned.
Yeah.
As born again Shawn Michaels. And people are like, nah, I'm not buying it.
Well, it's funny you say Shawn Michaels, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because as I'm watching this match, I forgot how long it was before he put that dumb knee brace on. I know he had to wear it, but it changed his look. Like, he still got like the Shawn Michaels tights that you like. You know what I mean? This is 2003. So he's been there a year.
He debuts those pants literally at like WrestleMania. That WrestleMania, he comes out with those black trunks.
With Cena?
With Kurt Angle.
Kurt Angle, yep.
Because
that was WrestleMania 20.
When you watch the video packages up to that point, the matches that he's having before then, he still has the tights on. Like he has the long tights.
Right.
And he has the brace underneath the tights, but it's kind of bulky at one point. But
WrestleMania 21. Yeah, yep.
Yeah. Rey Mysterio switched to the baggy tights for the same reason once, they put those knee braces on. So,
but see, it don't like Ray looks still cool. Like it just works for him. Maybe because Shawn Michaels was so like
I had to get used to the bag. I had to get used to it. It took me a little bit, but Randy Orton, let's not get off track. Talking about Shawn Michaels in those pants.
That man was almost scarred, bro. Look at him.
Yeah.
It's a tough subject for me. I still don't watch certain Shawn Michaels matches based off his attire. Like, nope, not feeling that gear. I'm not watching it. Nope. I will never watch him versus Jeff Jarrett for the Intercontinental Championship. Not feeling the gear. Not watching it. That's just type fan I am.
Because all the leopards in it.
No, I just didn't like the color. I said, no, it's stupid. See, like Shawn Michaels had like certain style, his wrist gauntlets will sometimes be either match his tights or they will match to something that was the designer side of his heart. So if he had like tiger stripes, that one he wore like the black and gold tiger stripes inside the hearts, but then he wore the black and gold tiger stripe wrist gauntlets. Wasn't feeling it.
What about the Doodle Browns?
No, nobody stop. That's it.
Oh man.
I'm going.
Chocolate had a nerve to sell those joints. He laughed.
Yeah, man, that's the doo-doo Browns. Oh, they was, somebody. They were just so happy to have him back. They should like, come on, Shawn. God dang.
Yeah.
Real Fro would have said Shawn Michaels, man. I understand you saved and you trying to change stuff, but you ain't got to change the look that much,
Right.
because he came back on Raw not too long ago that with HBK going down the side. I said, bro, you disappoint me, man. Put the pants back on.
You can still be the Heartbreak Kid.
Yeah, like, man, this is like man, it's entertainment, man. You don't gotta really live this way. You don't gotta people know you different, man. You don't
You
gotta
know what I
change
found
everything.
today? I found a clip of him on Jenny Jones.
Wow. That's how you know you grew up in the 90s.
No, Wrestling Classic. Shout out to my man Justin over there, right? And I'm sitting there. I'm like, now I watched, because y'all know I ain't watch cartoons. So me and my sister was watching shows we had no business watching, like Jenny Jones, Ricky Lake.
I was about to say
the
Ricky
daytime
Lake.
stuff.
The daytime shows or like the late night
After
shows,
school, yeah.
you know. And
was he all black, just black vest, no shirt?
Yeah, something like that.
Okay.
And yeah, and and so I'd never seen the clip before, and it was like the women was like, "Can we touch your chest?" And then it was like swarming to him, and I was like, clearly this is like, I want to say he looked like he was Intercontinental Champion Shawn Michaels right before. Maybe he was just becoming WWE Champion. It didn't look like he was Attitude Era Shawn, just based on the way his demeanor was, and like his face didn't look rough yet. And so I was like, wow, that's interesting. I ain't never seen this clip before. But yeah, but back to the back to Orton. It's really good to see.
What's your favorite Randy Orton gear? It's like
WrestleMania 36. I like that with him and the Fiend. One time I actually saw the toy in the store the other day, and I thought about what you said.
Burnt Fiend?
Huh?
Was it Burnt Fiend?
Yeah, remember when Randy Orton had the white trunks?
The white trunks. Yeah.
Oh, you talking about White Trunks Randy Orton from?
Yeah, because you asked me what was. Yeah, I said his match.
Okay, got it. Yeah.
No, that was 37. I'm sorry, but yeah, I was like, I like that gear, and I just said that really because it was the only one that like was different. Because most of the time it's the same thing, just a different color scheme. He was like the Rock with that point, and I always say like Randy Orton, Rock. If you want to look at your perfect wrestler, there it is. You know what I mean?
Remember I called Heath for that a couple years ago saying that.
Yeah, definitely. I remember when you first said it. Do you where does he rank in all-time greats for y'all?
He's up there. Like there's no denying what he's been able to do. When you look at his size, look, delivery, drawing power, and he's nowhere near finished. Like he has lofty goals, right? When's the last time we've seen a homegrown WWE guy as successful as him in terms of what he's been able to do in history, as far as drawing power, memories, all that stuff? And you're talking about a guy that's only 42 years old right now, right? Like the only person I can think of, to be honest with you, is probably The Undertaker. You know what I mean? I'm sure there's somebody else out there, but I'm like, man, you talking about longevity for how long and how young he was? Who got started at 20-something? Was a star by 22 outside? Like you could. It would be like The Rock, but The Rock eventually left.
He's not.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like Randy Orton's been there all the way through. He has never entertained going anywhere else. It's just like, man, it's unreal when you think about it. But it's like he said himself, I want to be next to The Undertaker as far as how long I plan on being here. Like I figured it out. I know how to take care of my body. I know how to keep doing what I need to do. That's a goal for me.
Hanging with Riddle.
Hanging with Riddle, hanging with young guys. Sometimes, like honestly, that stuff like that keeps you young. You know what I mean? We watched Randy Orton, many versions of him over the years, and I think he's at a place in his career where he's kind of untouchable. So he's allowed to be more honest about what he's feeling, what he's doing, and when he kind of made the promo, he said, this is the most fun I've had in 20 years. I think he's telling the truth. Yeah. It's because think about it. When you look at that match they had at WrestleMania, it's RK Bro, Street Profits, and Otis and Chad Gable, right? They're all young dudes except one guy. Randy Orton's the top guy, main event guy, and they came out with a bang. I wasn't expecting that match. I wasn't even looking forward to that match. Like it was going to be added bonus, but it turned out to be one of my favorite matches of the weekend because of just how they delivered. You have one veteran in the ring. It was Randy Orton and all young boys. Like let's call it what it is, right? And the fact that
how did that pop come across on TV?
It was massive.
Okay.
I can only imagine how it sounded in person because of how it sounded on TV. And that's what I kept saying in the group text. He'll say, yo, they're loud in there. Like usually anybody's gone to a wrestling show. When you watch wrestling on TV, it's not that serious. Like it's bland, it's regular. Like you know, because the way that technology works with the only audio feed you get is what's delivered straight through the camera to your TV set. It don't sound that crazy. But you can go to a regular Raw or regular SmackDown and anybody's music hits and it's loud. It's this adrenaline rush. You get excited about everybody coming out because just of the rush of the crowd, right? And like I said, that doesn't come across on TV. So every time I'm watching from home or on the run or whatever situation where I'm not there live, and I hear it that loud, I said, I know it's loud in there. I said, because if it sounds that loud on TV, I can only imagine where it is actually in person. So,
and they set the tone for the night.
They definitely did.
And I was like,
guns blazing.
Yeah, you know, because like the night one starting off with the Usos and Boogs and Shinsuke, it was solid, but the pop wasn't like nowhere near as massive. So night one kind of felt like they was crawling because they knew they was going to hit us heavy at the end.
There was no build up to that matchup anyway. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That was a situation where it was literally only about the titles. Like, hey, these guys are the number one contenders. There was no story behind it. It was pure wrestling.
But then that, like you said, like with the tag team, because I mean, and then Randy's working with a guy like Chad Gable, you know, who's just phenomenal, like mini Kurt Angle, you know, like you know, and like I know everybody wants Orton and Riddle to like break up, but like I'm enjoying this whole program, but I also like with the fact that you know they got the this whole thing with the Usos because it's still Randy right there. So let's say they do drop the titles, Randy can easily go challenge the tribal chief without a shadow of a doubt because he's a top guy. And if he if he beats him, are we really like hurting? You know what I mean? Because it's Randy Orton, so it's like it's believable. Like, yeah, Randy could take out Roman Reigns. You know, it's not gonna feel like a letdown as to say if it's somebody else. You know.
No doubt. I mean, I don't doubt it one bit. When it comes to Randy Orton, his career, right? We watch him do some insane things. What are some of the craziest things you remember Randy Orton doing that just kind of made him who he is? Like, what are some of the just sadistic stuff that
Jeff freaking Hardy?
That was the first. I swear that's the first one I was thinking about. Man. I was literally the first thing I was thinking of. As I was saying it, I just kept seeing him go like this with the screwdriver in his ear. I was like, yo, something is really wrong with this man.
We already thought it was one thing when he kissed Stephanie McMahon.
Oh yeah,
in front of Triple H, a handcuff. Triple H.
When he
he is sick, bro.
Yo, he does things. Yo, I'm sorry. He does things. And you're like, yo, you're going too far. Like you watch it from TV, like, yo, I know this guy's not doing what I think he's doing. And he just slowly creeps over to her and then looks at Triple H like this. I was like, yo, and then Triple H is looking crazy. Too bad the match didn't add up to anything. But
right.
It was bad placement.
Real bad placement, because every time I go back and I want to watch that match, I'm like, man, this is supposed to be good.
Yo,
I get distracted. Like I find myself looking at my phone.
That happened one time we was here.
What were we doing? Were we filming? Or we was having a meeting.
We had just got finished filming, and we was like kind of like moving stuff, like just doing cleanup, like transferring footage.
Up. That's what we was doing.
Yeah, and I was like, yo, let's just put this match on. And he was like, all right.
And we walked away. We started talking about all kinds of stuff, and I was like, yo, it happened again. He's like, what are you talking about? I said, yo, we put the match on. We walked away from it. He just
But you also had like he talked about him and Foley. He had to go there. Like that's what McFoley does. He makes you get nasty. We think about him and The Rock at Royal Rumble '99. The same way, Randy Orton had to get, the thumbtacks in his back. Him and Ric Flair bleeding. I think it was Taboo Tuesday when him and Ric Flair had that match.
Was it a cage match? Was that cage match? That wasn't a cage match, was it?
It was either that or like any hardcore match.
Hardcore match, wasn't it?
Yeah, something like that. But those were the things that you sit back and you watch, and it's like, yo, this dude, he showed that he'll do whatever it takes.
No, yeah, I mean, you think about what he did when he's first of all, the entire Legend Killer run. It's probably Randy Orton's so good. There's a few things that he has done in his career that I was not a fan of. And then there's a lot of things in his career that he has done that I didn't like it at the moment it was happening, but I love and appreciate it now. I'll get to that in a second. But when he spit in Mick Foley's face,
son,
bro, like
what?
bro,
and he zoomed in on it like it was
like it was
He's loogie.
that was like real loogie, bro.
I'm like, bro, I said he just spit his own fake tears. Like he spit tears on that man's face as it was dripping. And he kicks him down the steps, like, you know. And then you talking about the countless RKOs to the legends when he was the Legend Killer. Like, hey, listen,
Jake the Snake.
Jake the Snake.
Right.
Was it I believe it was Fabulous Moolah?
Yeah. Or
Fabulous.
May Young. One, maybe both.
It was both, wasn't it?
I know they were in the ring together. He caught
just
one
beat
of them.
Shawn Michaels.
Yeah, he's like, you're a legend. He said, Randy Orton, Legend Killer. And then his drive-by RKO on Hogan into the car. Sorry, Brian H.
That was great.
So smooth. He just comes out of nowhere. Like, I'm just like, man, this dude. I mean, you talk
Stacy
about
Keibler.
Stacy Keibler, a girl. Like, it just the level of disrespect. He was young.
Nia Jax at the Royal Rumble recently.
That was a huge one. That was when the one of Edge returned.
Because it was taboo because we hadn't seen intergender in WWE in years.
Yeah, probably right.
You had women hit the men, but you know for that
I think the last time we saw it was with Beth Phoenix when she was in the Rumble.
Yeah. Yep.
So you know, and then you had what else did Randy Orton do that was just like, yo, you've got to be. Oh well, I know something he didn't do, but one part that I really enjoy is when he was in his house and Triple H pulled up on him. Oh, Randy Orton's the best. That's great. He was sitting there doing his interview, like, wait, somebody's at the door, and then he just looks over and just Triple H just bursting through his house with a
you can never go wrong with a house scene,
right?
Especially when you have the right players, man.
Yeah, Hillman and Austin.
But yeah, that was
that was the one right there.
That was ahead of his time. That's the crazy part. That was ahead of his time. Like that would foreshadow a lot that we would see eventually, man. But 2011 ish, Christian wins the World Heavyweight Championship.
And
yep. Since I told you I was alluding to it, I was going to come back to it.
Yep.
Yeah, that was for WrestleMania.
So yeah,
wins the ladder match with assistance from his brother Edge. You know, Edge is returned after having to relinquish the title due to
after his win at WrestleMania, and then this took place at Extreme Rules, where he beat Del Rio, where Christian beat Del Rio.
Yep, you know he wins the title, and literally that TV taping that Tuesday for us, it was that Thursday. He loses to Randy Orton. I was pissed. We had waited for Christian to get to that space for so long. You know, his triumphant return from TNA, and see that, and returns were different back then. Like you had to earn your stripes back in those days. Like Cody Rhodes is living. Cody Rhodes is living right now. Like he's been celebrated for leaving. Christian, this isn't the ECW. He's like, oh, I want to work with young guys. No, they didn't. No, you didn't. Cut it out. They made him earn every last bit of it.
Yeah.
I didn't mean anything. It was silver at that point, like black and silver ECW, which I enjoy. I
just looked at mine. It's on the shelf. It's not thrown away.
That was
on the shelf.
First replica belt commemorative title that he got.
Yep. It's signed by Matt Hardy.
He neglects it. He neglects it all the time. Like I remember one time I said, Brian, let me just hold it for a week. Like he let me take it out, because he didn't care about it at that time. He had real gold at that point. But I showed that title some proper respect. But I remember one of the things that Randy Orton said that didn't hit me until now, or not really now, but now I'm older. We talking about 19 years ago. We were really, really wrapped into it. And I know fans are complaining because I was one of them. Hated Randy Orton, hated his guts. And one thing he said, man, it's like, you guys complaining, but guess who gets to work the main event for the next so and so amount of weeks?
6 months.
Yeah, and and it was Christian. right? And Christian would eventually get the title back, not in dominant fashion, but they had a feud that stands the test of time, because if you go back and you watch Christian versus Randy Orton, still some of my favorite matches to this day from both of those guys.
Every match was a banger, in my opinion. And
they told different stories in every match. And Randy Orton, like when you look at Randy Orton, you looked at him then and saw this is prime Randy Orton. You look at Randy Orton now, you're like, oh, he was still scratching the surface even after all that time. But he was already like the guy. So like, man, when you can give us those memories, at a certain age, that's when you're doing something special. Like that's a feud that goes down in history.
Yeah.
And
so
then
is that your favorite feud? Randy Orton feud?
No, because I just appreciate it more now because of when you look back. Like I said, when you're in the thick of it, of course you don't like it, but then you look back at it, you say, man, I can appreciate this now for what it was, because it was a really good match, really good feud, because you don't know what's going to happen. It's like hindsight being 2020. We know what's Christian eventually gets the title back, and so on and so forth. But
right.
The shoot, even one of his recent ones with Drew McIntyre, dropping the title to taking the title from Drew.
And that's what I'm saying. That was less than a year and a half, 2 years ago, whatever, however long it was. Like that was it was a 2021, right? Because that was during the Thunderdome era, right? The pandemic era of professional wrestling. Man. Like Randy Orton has had feuds. He has made more main eventers. Like he has made main eventers that we're enjoying now. Like Drew McIntyre needed Randy Orton. You know what I mean? And Randy Orton was a perfect fit for him. Like he was fresh off his battle with the Fiend, and Randy Orton's that good that at any point in time he can jump into the world title picture. You're not gonna expect an explanation.
Yep.
Well, how did he get here? He's Randy Orton. Like when Hangman Page, you can't throw Hangman Page into the world title picture in AEW just when you feel like it. You had to give him a backstory. I mean, you got to give him something. You got to build him up, because the audience really doesn't know why he's in that space in the first place, right?
I don't know why he's their champion.
Well, he's a young guy, and they're trying to make young stars. So you just throw him into the fire early, so as time progresses, they can say, hey, this guy was a young champion. He'll probably hold that belt 1,000 times, because he seems like he might be a lifer kind of guy. Like I can see him holding that title a lot of times, right? Randy Orton gets in the title picture. You don't have to ask any questions. Why is he? Because he's Randy Orton. He decided he wanted to be in it. Therefore, he's in it. You know what I mean? Randy Orton's just that good. And you look at even the unification title match he had with John Cena, two guys that defined an era.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I always compare Shinsuke Nakamura and Tanahashi. Hiroshi Tanahashi. No. Yeah, Tanahashi and Shinsuke were always John Cena and Randy Orton of New Japan. And what I say that is not necessarily their spots, but because New Japan was literally in a rough spot as well. And they built around these younger talent. It was Tanahashi, it was Shinsuke, and it was
Okada.
No, it wasn't Okada. Okada came after. It was somebody else.
Naito?
What Naito? It's his name slips my name. This is around like 2005-ish. Like this is around time when Brock Lesnar showing up and Kurt Angle's showing up eventually, not too long, 2005, 6, 7-ish. Like New Japan was in a rough spot, just like WWE was trying to figure out what it was.
And this before the John Bernard got there?
He was there during that time.
Okay.
Yeah, he was during that time.
He was like the Scott Norton, right?
Yeah, he was definitely a modern day Scott Norton. Absolutely. Like that big American monster guy. You know what I mean? And they usually been around 3 Japanese guys, and they got a big, for positive or negative term, gaijin. It's a foreigner that's kind of in the mix, which was Giant Bonato.
Okay.
But I don't want to. I know who I'm thinking about, but I can't pronounce his name. I want to say Katsuya Shibata, but I don't think that's correct. But he left to do mixed martial arts, right?
Oh, okay.
So by the time he came back from mixed martial arts, his kind of window was kind of cut short. But they built around Tanahashi, built around Shinsuke, and I was like, they did the same thing with John Cena and Randy Orton. When all those other guys began to retire, they had to build around these guys. Like you had John Cena, you had Randy Orton, you had Batista, and and a plethora of other guys that were still there. You know what I mean? To kind of lead. There's always a hand pick full of guys that say this group is going to lead your generation. Like right now, we're watching a new era happen right now. We're watching Cody Rhodes,
Theory.
We're watching Theory. We're watching Kevin Owens. We're watching Seth Rollins,
Montez Ford.
The Street Profits. We're watching Riddle. Like we're watching these guys. These guys are current towards Bianca Belair, Rhea Ripley, Bianca. Not Bianca. Becky Lynch. Like we're watching this group of young talents say, okay, this is the group, you know. And John Cena and Randy Orton led that group, so it seemed only fitting when they had to unify those titles that, you know, Randy Orton was the like he was the prototype of an era. You know what I mean? Where John Cena may have had popularity, Randy Orton was that piece of professional wrestling that was just always there. Randy Orton didn't need the music videos. He didn't need the T-shirts. He didn't need the television appearances. He was that great on his own as a professional. Like there was two sides to a coin, right? One is heads, one is tail. They were the best of both worlds of sports entertainment and professional wrestling tradition because one had pedigree, one had the look. He, like I said, when you look at Randy Orton, you say, I remember saying this. I said, if I was starting a wrestling promotion, and this is back when Daniel Bryan was in his heyday, and I still said it to this day. I said, if I'm starting a promotion today, I said, and I have to pick one guy to build my entire company around and say, this is the guy we building around. He's your champion. I said, it's hands down, it was going to be Randy Orton.
Yeah,
I stand by that because of all that he represents and all that he brings to the table versus John Cena's the commercial aspect of what professional wrestling is today as we know it. You know, so you know, we lived through a decade where we got a lot of John Cena and Randy Orton matches, and there are way too many to discuss to even talk about. Right. But
it was a safe space. It was like what Brett and Sean would have been
easy
if they could have got along. You know,
there's generational rivalries. You know what I mean? Like you said, when that safe space, there's generational rivalries. Like there's certain rivalries that define decades, right? You always got Hogan Savage. You know what I mean? Because they kind of transcended 80s, 90s, all the way until mid to late 90s.
Never idea.
You know what I mean? You always had Kane and Undertaker. You have Austin and Undertaker, Austin and McMahon, Austin and Rock. You know what I mean? John Cena and Edge and Randy Orton, Triple H and The Rock, Triple H and Randy Orton. Like, you know what I mean? There's these defining rivalries, you know, Seth Rollins and Kevin Owens, Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. You know what I mean? Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano. Like, there's just these defining feuds that says when you think about that era of which that superstar kind of made a name for themselves in, it's John Cena. Do you consider John Cena Randy Orton's greatest rival?
Yeah. Just on the strength of the generational part of it. You know, something that's safe you could always go to, but it also has that like it's got that Pepsi Coke dynamic.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's just like that opposite but the same. Like it's got that Pepsi Coke dynamic.
No, I get it. I mean, for Randy Orton's ultimate bad guy, John Cena is obviously the ultimate good guy, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
Now, what's an underrated feud that Randy Orton had, or what's something that Randy Orton has done that doesn't get talked about as much because he's just that good, because he has given us so many moments to talk about. You know what I mean? But it's like, no, this is the one thing that says, you know, this may not be the most popular aspect of who Randy Orton was in regards to his career, but this is the one thing that I feel like is underrated, that I enjoy, but you don't hear too many people talk too much about.
Oh
yeah, that's a tough one, isn't it?
That's tough. Yeah.
You know what? Honestly, his stuff with the Fiend.
I'm telling you, I was about to say the same thing
with the Extreme Rules stuff and the horror stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and yeah. I'm. You know what? Since you was about to say that, I'm gonna go one where he put over Jinder Mahal. Just him.
Shoot, I'm changing mine too. Then you
you forgot all about that one.
Yeah, him putting over Jinder Mahal because just that, you know, that whole feud, the matchup, but it also, you know, just that respect.
Mm-hmm.
You know, him saying, okay, let's get this young guy over. So that's something that might not, a lot of people wasn't fans of Jinder Mahal, but here we got a history-making 50th WWE champion of you know, with Canadian Indian descent, was able to go to his home country, or, you know, I don't want to say his motherland, but you know what I mean, and
sure.
represent. So that was big, but that doesn't happen without Randy Orton. Like, that win was credible because it was Randy Orton.
Sure.
I mean, easy. Like I remember Randy Orton talking about Jinder Mahal in his first run when he first debuted. He was kind of this kind of spoiled prince, and he, the whole gimmick was, he's married to Kali's sister, and based off tradition and their cultural background. He was kind of forcing him to be his muscle, his heater. And then he kind of fizzled out. And I remember seeing Jinder Mahal. I said, man, this guy's got the size, he's got the look, and before you know it, he was in 3MB. I remember Randy Orton going on the show talking about, we got all these young guys, man. Like, well, why are we not doing anything with those guys? Like, Randy Orton shows me with situations like that he has an eye for the business because he saw Jinder Mahal before anybody else did. And guess who got to work with Jinder Mahal after he had come back after a long time of disappointment and some years off, and then he kind of reemerges. Guess who hands the title over to him? Randy Orton, right? That's to me, that shows a level of integrity and unfinished business when it comes to Randy's ability to bring people up. Take guys that are regular and then bringing them up into a top space. So that's definitely an underrated feat. Like, people didn't like it. I said I loved it. Like, it's one of my favorite matchups when you see a guy like, because like you said, Randy Orton was credible. Like, if Jinder Mahal would have beat, this is the issue that AEW has, and TNA used to have the same problem. When you don't have enough credible dance partners for the guys that you're trying to make, right? You're trying to establish guys as something. It's like it just doesn't work. Like, it doesn't stick the same way. It's because it's just something about when you beat somebody that's a credible champion that's not going to hurt them if they lose, when they finally get in that space. My attitude toward that is either go young or go none, right? Like AJ Styles, if AJ Styles will beat Raven or Sean Waltman for the NWA World Heavyweight Championship in TNA, had a little bit of buzz. Wasn't a whole lot to it because, they're all relatively young guys. But when AJ Styles beats Jeff Jarrett was the most known guy in the company. He was the biggest heel at the time, right? Now, although Jeff Jarrett's drawing power wasn't to the degree that it elevated, it still brought AJ Styles to the next level. And then AJ Styles never had that title for too long because he had to chase, because that's how the babyface tells their story. You know what I mean? You need credible guys to work with. Like, he is a Hall of Fame talent that put over Jinder Mahal. And it's not like he did a job to him. He brought him up because Jinder Mahal was in that main event picture in 2016 before eventually him losing to AJ. And although Jinder Mahal has kind of dipped, it's for a lot of different reasons between injuries and just, maybe his limitations in the ring. You know what I mean? You created another credible star. That's why Jinder Mahal can go out there and wrestle Ricochet, because that's a former WWE champion that Ricochet has a win over. You know what I mean? That helps elevate another title, which is the Intercontinental title. That's the ability of Randy Orton, and he's done it at such a young age to be that credible this young to elevate freaking Bray Wyatt. You know what I mean? A guy that has struggled to stick his entire career. As crazy as it sounds, we can blame it on whoever, whether it's bad creative or limitations or whatever the case may be. But the stuff he did with the Fiend was of legend, right? Especially, they had a difficult job to do. They had to find a way to make storylines interesting, because of living in the pandemic era of professional wrestling, right? You can only do so much. They had to get creative, but it also allowed them to do certain things that we haven't seen before because of those limitations, and you got to up the production. You got to up the creativity. He set the Fiend on fire. That was who else could have done that and got away with it? That when Randy Orton did it, it didn't make it. You weren't confused. You're like, oh, trust me, he's not above this because he's had history before. Like, this guy is one of the most disrespectful brains, disrespectful personas in all of professional wrestling history. You know what I mean? Yeah, that's why he had his own WWE Evil special on Stupid Peacock on the WWE Network. So when you see things like the matches, the Hell in a Cell matches with Jeff Hardy, you see things like an Inferno match with the Fiend. You know what I mean? And then you see him working with guys like when Edge. When Edge came back, they had a small moment, and then all of a sudden, here he go. He insults his wife. It's like same on Randy Orton. and then that got derailed once again. But Edge and Edge and Randy Orton got a tough break, but that wasn't their fault. That's like I said, just pandemic era professional wrestling, man. It's just
injuries.
He tore his pec, as Edge, of course, but it's just unbelievable that I'm trying to think in my head, has there ever been anyone with this type of longevity to last this long, to be able to accomplish so much at such a young age and still perform at a high level? Like Flair is a guy that did it, right? But when Flair, as he was getting older, he kind of went further and further down the card. And because he was getting older, he accepted that space versus the first time when Vince told him, when he's in WWF, and Vince said, hey, look, man, I'm going to go young now. We got to rebuild, and yeah, I got to push you further down the card. If it's too much or that's something you don't want to do for the Flair brand, by all means, use us to get a bigger offer from the other guys, and Flair took it, obviously. But Randy Orton is a guy that I can see sitting at the top for he's probably got another 10 to 15 years.
He said he wants to go to 50. He said he's a mark for it. He wants to go to 50.
He can get to 50 easy.
Yeah, he said, he talked about a scenario where him and Cena would be tied and at 16 and they would face each other for the world title. He said, he would love to have a record. Love to surpass Flair. So yeah, he's definitely got a lot. He's got a lot left in the tank. He even talked about just how, like you mentioned earlier, how he take care of his body.
Yep.
He said, look, start see some abs. I was like, oh, okay, I like that. And I'm like, that's how you do it. That's how you get around. And he's having fun.
Once in a lifetime talent, man. I don't think there'll ever be another Randy Orton. Like, I think, there'll be plenty of guys to kind of set the tone going forward, and they'll make a name for themselves in other ways. But there's only one legend killer.
Yeah, only one legend killer. Let's take a break real quick because I know you got an announcement. You've been busy. You've been making commercials and ish.
My man Tony Khan.
Nobody can clown Tony. Never mind.
Hey.
That's the wrong word. But you said you wanted to you had something to show the people.
Nah, it's just commercial. Ain't nothing major.
That's still. I told you I didn't want to see it until the show ran.
I mean, by all means, run it.
Oh, so I gotta run it. You can't run it.
I can't. But it's not. You act like it's MTV premiere, like it's TRL.
All right, we'll be right back. Was fire.
That was fire. Yes, sir.
He just knows something. I told you I wanted a live reaction. I ain't watch it.
Right.
That never let you know right there. Go to WrestlingRealm.com. WrestlingRealm.com, and you can get merch. And guess what? If you're a Patreon subscriber, if you subscribe to the $5 tier or more, you get a free promo code for free shipping. So that's what we're doing for our Patreon, our patrons. I guess that's how you say it. Patrons. But yeah, so make sure y'all check that out. Make sure get you some merch. Be a proud wrestling fan. Right. Go wear the shirt.
Don't hide it. Don't hide it. You've been doing it for years. It's time to step out.
That's right, yo. Call them out, yo. Like, oh, you still watch wrestling, man? I don't. Yeah. They be like, hey, but you seen it last week, though. What you mean seen it last week? You said you.
Sound like the days of the wrestling round when we was talking. People like walk all the way up the stairs. I seen it too,
bro. I didn't see it, bro. Oh yeah, you see your whole show this weekend. You just told me you don't watch it anymore. I mean, I still keep up with it,
knowing all the stories. I just keep up with it on social media.
Sure you do, buddy. Sure you do.
But yeah, man. Mustafa Ali.
Mustafa.
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 He said one time Mustafa.
It's Mustafa.
Yeah, Ali is back. He was victorious on Raw.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Miz definitely took a shot at him. Totally tried to take his...
and Theory.
He was he called him a Mufasa's younger brother or older
that
brother.
was disrespectful.
I was like, wow, okay.
That was like, no. Like, bro, come on, yo.
Y'all didn't catch it?
I know you say he tried to take his ball and go home.
No, see, I missed the second joke.
What was the other one?
that?
He was talking about Elias and Ezekiel. He's like, let me guess, you
Yeah.
Mustafa Ali's younger brother.
Yeah.
See, Brian H didn't catch it. He thought he was being racist.
I did.
See, look, Brian H
He wilding. Yeah, that's why I got it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Wow. He's like, let me guess, you're not Mustafa Ali, you're his younger brother. Huh? That was good stuff, though.
Can we look at that, like Miz and Theory together?
Deadly combination.
What?
I wouldn't go nowhere.
Gosh.
With them two jerks, I wouldn't go nowhere near the ring. They have you hurt. You ready to fight? Like, oh man.
That's like if you're a teacher and you got this one student that's been driving you crazy, and here comes this new kid, and they hang with that kid. You just like, all right, as long as I keep them away, and then they hang together.
Right.
Miz
like if you thought Miz and Dolph Ziggler was bad.
Oh yeah, man.
Yeah.
As if Austin Theory needs any more sprinkling. Like you talk about a guy that's being groomed. I need Austin Theory. He looks kind of short to me. It might just be his arm seems short, but I think he needs to change his. Is he short looking?
He's about a couple inches taller than me, so he's like literally in between me and Brother Hugh's height. Okay. So he might be Brother Hugh's height. He don't have that much height to him.
He's not 6 foot.
He might just be there. Like I've walked past him a couple times. Once in New York, once in Dallas. I was like, yeah, he's not that big at all. Like it's not tricks.
I think I need him to change his gear. I can just go straight trunks instead of the actual little shorts.
Okay.
But, I mean, to be groomed by someone like the Miz, man.
And Mr. Man drawing heat, telling everybody you the next, you're a future Universal Champion, world champion.
I mean, it's not too many situations where Vince has been wrong.
What do you think about his finisher? What do you think about his finisher? Very unique.
I like it. I like it a lot. It's something I like when I see a new finisher like that. I get mad. I'm like, man, why did not think of that? I could have been a wrestler. Like that's different. I don't know why. It's my go-to move every single time. Oh shoot, I could have used that as a wrestler. It's safe. I watch him protect people. So I was like, oh yeah, he can do this for a while because you can't you can do a finisher, but for so long. Like Ricochet changed his finisher. Like he does a shooting star press more than anything now instead of the because how many times can you do that corkscrew looking thing he does,
right?
But so many times after a while, especially working that kind of schedule. So I like it a lot, though. I mean, but
is it really that believable though for a man of his size?
Yeah, because you look at a guy like Daniel Bryan, you know what I mean. I think like he's not like Jonathan Gresham, Jonathan Gresham's size. His style of professional wrestling makes sense for his size. You know what I mean?
It does.
Like you wouldn't expect Damian Priest to wrestle like a Jonathan Gresham, right? Jonathan Gresham wrestles like a pure wrestling style, right?
He does.
Because he figures, okay, so he uses his height to his advantage. He's ground and pound. He grapples you. That makes sense for his size, right? Theory's not on that level. You know what I mean? Like, and I think that superstars have the ability to change how they operate in the ring. You know what I mean? Like like Rey Mysterio. Rey Mysterio operates based off his size. You know what I mean? Yeah. So he's not that short of a guy. I feel like, well, it doesn't make any sense. I mean, well, it's like, it's fine by me. I mean, I think what we're looking at a young Randy Orton.
I was just about to say that. It reminds me of John Cena. Yeah.
Because John Cena's another. When you look at them in their years, you know what I mean? Because John Cena looks stiff in his early years. He looks like he looks a lot like Riddle. I mean, not Riddle. Austin Theory, and I think Theory's in a better spot early on than those guys were. Like I'm seeing better stuff from just his personality. Like when you watch Theory from when he was in NXT, he was kind of random. You just know he was pretty. He was a pretty guy. Good, good looking young dude. And he didn't really have much personality. He gets to the main roster and it's like, where's all this swag coming from? Like this dude has the chops.
Yeah.
And he's kind of just unleashed and unhinged a little bit more. And it's like, I think that is going to last longer than anything. And I mean, he's like I said, they grooming him, you know what I mean? To the point where he got involved in Mustafa Ali's return.
It's Mustafa.
Right?
It's Mustafa.
Is that what he goes by?
It's Mustafa. Yes.
Mustafa.
He said that one time. Yeah.
Mustafa Ali. So, because
that
I remember when he got
that was before he asked for the release, though. So I don't know. He might change it back.
remember they dropped his first name and then he got it back.
Right.
Just like Apollo Crews.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, because remember he was just Apollo at one point, and then like 2 weeks later he's back to being Apollo Crews. So you see, he got like Mustafa Ali, excuse me. He returns, and what I see from a guy like Ali is, to me, it's like return of the workhorse. There's a missing element of the wrestling shows on WWE programming right now, and that's those workhorse matches, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that group of guys need to be showcased more now. And I think they have a good group now that they can kind of plug and play, where you don't have to do too many long-term feuds. But those guys can come out, perform, and not have to be put in cruiserweight situations where it's kind of dead end.
Yep.
So you look at a guy like who asked for his release, didn't want to be there anymore, shows back up. He has a crazy match with The Miz, 2 completely different styles, 2 styles that you don't think are going to really go well together. But it worked. You know what I mean? He's no longer Retribution. He's no longer doing other kind of stuff. He can talk. He can handle himself. And then at the end of the match, he beats Miz. Welcome back. He gets attacked by Tommaso Ciampa. It gives me hope because I'm like, I'm seeing all the workhorses kind of be incorporated a little bit. You know what I mean? When you look at guys like Finn Balor, I don't care what anybody says about him. He's older now, so he's at a different spot in the company. You look at the Finns, they're working with this younger group of guys. Your Finns, your Austin Theories. You look at your Mustafa Ali's, you look at Tommaso Ciampa's. I'm like, this is we can work with this. Ricochet is another one. Like, he's not sure. I don't think people expected him to be Intercontinental Champion, but he's there. You know what I mean? And it's like he has some. That's every run is different for the United States and the IC title, depending on what the weather is in professional wrestling. Because for one season,
I like how you put that there. The weather.
Because in one season, the United States Championship might go on a former world champion like a AJ Styles or John Cena, where it's kind of elevated. It's kind of when you have a title on a main event guy, it's a main event situation, right? So Del Rio returns. He faces John Cena. Kevin Owens debuts. He faces John Cena. AJ Styles, and then same thing with the IC title, the Finns and stuff like that. And then you have a run where you decide, okay, let's go to the workhorses. It's really about the matches now. Where you put it on someone like a Shinsuke, where it's not really debuted or it's not really defended as much. You put it on a guy like Finn. You put it on a guy like Austin Theory. You put it on a guy like Ricochet. Guys is going to go out there and have the best match that they allow them to have, And we're in that season again. We're like, well, listen, we got a bunch of workhorses. Let's put them to work. You know what I mean? Yeah. I want to see that group of guys kind of get an opportunity, and seeing Mustafa Ali return. I'm like, man, I think it's a good chance that we should get more of that. He doesn't have to be in too many crazy storylines, but there's enough guys that are like, hey, guys like Roderick Strong, you know what I mean? Guys like at one point Cesaro, these are considered utility guys, but it's like, man, they had that title for a reason. Let them go after it. Austin Theory, I don't see him giving that up anytime soon with this new grooming, but Tommaso Ciampa and Mustafa Ali, we got heel Ciampa again. He's ready to be in full force. I'm like, okay,
he's about to be on a bigger program too.
I said, oh yeah, he's in full. Like heel Ciampa is always better than anybody because we
gotta get him in Orton.
I was about to say, how long before Orton get him, boy?
Orton's having a blast right now, but I mean that's another guy. That's a guy he can elevate. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Take him to the moon.
Who's the bad guy in that group though?
Ciampa.
Yeah, it's weird. It's strange. Yeah. Have somebody try to out evil Randy. Good luck with that. So, man. I mean, what do you guys think about guys that leave and decide what happened? Like, somebody tell me what's going on, because he wanted his release.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't want to be there anymore. He had way too many years left in his contract. They didn't want to let him go. that they obviously see him as an asset. They probably said, just go home, relax, unwind, get yourself together. Let's revisit this. He shows back up on Raw. He gets a match in primetime television. He gets a win. Why do you guys think this happened? And what do you think about superstars, guys and gals who ask for their release, don't get it, but then eventually come back and they seem to be okay?
I think it just comes down to conversation. You know, I think when
Okay.
most time people ask for their release, in my opinion, I think it comes down to feel like they're not being used, could be
Okay.
burnt out. You know, it's you figure you got to travel from here to here to here, only to be sitting in catering. That could get exhausting. You know, so sometimes you can just go home, clear your head, see really. You look at everything, you know, from you know, I guess a bird's eye view and realize, well, shoot, the grass ain't greener over there. Or do I really want to be hitting the indies trying to get $1,500 here, you know, $2,000 there off your WWE release, right? So you once you sit there and think about it, and then you're like, well, I got guaranteed money. Let me just try this again, you know.
Yeah.
And I think that from the WWE's business standpoint, they're looking at people like, wait, we can do something with you. Give us some time. You know, we can really do something with you. Take some time off. We saw that with Sasha Banks. Sasha just felt like she was just Sasha Banks, and she wanted to find Mercedes again. She wanted to find herself, and she came back. She was better than ever. You know, there was a lot of times it was easy. Oh, Sasha botches so much. Wasn't botching much, you know, but even her character was better. She felt like a boss. She didn't feel like the legit boss as much back then. So I think that's what happens a lot. It's just that opportunity just to really give you a chance to clear your head. So I think that's what we saw with Ali. It obviously it's kind of maybe a little bit too early to tell. You know, I don't know if they, you know, it's kind of hard to say, oh yeah, they probably promised him a US title run. But I just think he's just got time to clear his head and really see like, all right, you know, I can make this work. It's not that bad.
I think he has something, man. He just got lost in the shuffle. He led that whole thing on Retribution. He did a really good job with it. It just it was just goofy. Like it was too gimmick. Like the idea of it worked, but then it just got too gimmicked out. The silly names and the like. I didn't eat it. It was to the point like before they were disgruntled, misused. We want our time. We want our shine. That makes sense. You can relate to that, right? But then it started getting weird. Like they were like, I don't even know what you call it. Like they remind you of like post-apocalyptic people after the explosion of the earth, and they're what's left over, and they're kind of half savage and half not. And it's just like, dude, you can't tell. Like, what are we looking at? Why do you guys have these crazy Bane looking masks on? And they were still talking about just injustice. I'm like, bro, what you guys are displaying and what you guys are portraying doesn't show injustice. Like when you had right to censor, it made sense because they were complaining about, you know, they were pretty much poking fun at what people are saying about the WWE during that time. But they dressed it, they spoke it, and they got on your nerves and they beat people up. Like it was defined based off what they presented to you was exactly what they were fussing about. So when they come out and cut a promo about censorship, they weren't wearing regular clothes, right? They were Ivory was dressed to a T, like collared all the way up to her chin with that Colonel Sanders tie. I don't know what you call those things.
That's the best way to call it.
And she would
baggy skirt.
And she would wrestle that way. You know what I mean? Like that's Retribution was, but it's like then he was with Mansoor, you know, trying to, show them the ropes, and they had this connection. It's like, all the different places, that they kind of had that look, man, look, don't fall for that, don't be a fan favorite, be at this kind, and then it fell through the cracks, and then he, whatever happened, but it's like I think the WWE is smart enough to understand that there's always business before emotion, business before your feelings. Yeah. And you have to be.
That's what makes it number one.
Right. It takes a different type of business person to be able to say, if you're on my team, and you say I won't be here no more, I'm gonna say, well, forget it and go. Right. Like that's my human instinct, right? But it takes a
corporate fat cats.
It takes a smart business person to say, no, listen, I understand you're frustrated. Go home for a while. I'm not letting you out your contract. And then come back and say, hey, listen, we have something we probably can do with you. You know what I mean? And it's like, and not take it personal and not say, okay, well, I'm going to bring you back, but I'm going to job you out. you know,
Yep.
or just, try to, humiliate you and keep you, send a message to the rest of the locker room. It's like you don't see that, you know what I mean? And I think that's the part of the business that people respect, because people do get personal about it. Like their feelings are hurt, they're upset, they feel some type of way. And then someone says, listen, I understand that, but I'm telling you, we have something for you now. And, for someone to be able to say, hey, all right, I'll leave it alone. Let's come back and revisit this. Let's see what we can do. And it seems to me that that's what we saw. And for him to look like he's about to be in a feud with Tommaso Ciampa, ooh, this could be pretty good. I'm looking forward to that one, because Ciampa I'm a huge fan of his. I've always, and like I said, and I wasn't a fan of his until he got to NXT, until he kind of got unlocked. You know what I mean? That's what, and for him to do that, I was like, okay, here we go. Now we getting some of these guys up and rolling. But we saw another debut though. We saw the return of Asuka.
Yep.
A little bit of history there. Becky Lynch talked about her handing Asuka her title once she was going home to be a mother. You know what I mean?
And it was a few months ago, right here on this very program, where you talked about women's matches, women's feuds that didn't involve the title, and that's what we getting. And that's something, I think this is huge. This is great for the women's division.
First of all, they're two main event players, two global superstars.
Easily.
Like if you're not familiar with Asuka, who she was before she came to the WWE, I would say look her up, but it might be a little controversial. But like Becky Lynch made a comment recently about the women's division at AEW. I guess somebody asked her opinion on it, of course, and she had no bones about it. Like she had no problem telling, yeah, I don't like the way they're represented. They don't get as much time as we do. And they're just not on that level. She wasn't lying. It's because WWE will always have over AEW is just these matchups, right? Unless you have two young talent that can just elevate each other, there's no like AJ Styles, Christopher Daniels, you know what I mean? Like that can take a company and kind of put on those Samoa Joes and stuff like that. Is those talent? I don't say they don't exist, just that the landscape of pro wrestling as we know it and as we are watching it now, it's not in the place for that to even happen. Honestly, that's why there'll never be just one guy. There'll never just be a Rock or an Austin like it was before, or a Taker. It's going to be a team, because they have so much that they're responsible for in order to putting out house shows, television, media, all kinds of stuff, right? So when you look at the matchups between women in AEW, it's just like, well, there's always an established person and an okay person. There's never just two heavy hitters. Right. Where it's like every time they clap, and even then, once you have that match, it's over. Like Kenny Omega, Daniel Bryan, we don't even get a feud out of it. It's like they went into that match knowing we're not going to be able to get a feud out, so we're just going to give them everything now. We got one match, we got two matches, and I'm like, dang, that's all we get. It's like, yeah, because there's no long-term booking for this, and then Kenny's gone. But then, I haven't really been interested in too much that Daniel Bryan has done, because I don't like any of his dance partners. I don't care about these young dudes like that. They have not made me care. Like you gotta project young talent in a different way, right? There's not a lot of young talent that I'm saying, oh, I gotta watch them. There's a few, there's a handful. Like Hook is one of them. Like it's not like they don't have it. Lance Archer is not really young talent, but he was new to that main event scene. Wardlow's another one. Like, don't get me wrong, it's not like it's not there, but just as of lately, I'm not interested in it, right? It's the matchups, that's the issue. But then you have Asuka and Becky Lynch. Come on now. They're gonna kill each other in the ring. And Asuka's coming back after all that time off and injuries and getting herself together, a refreshed Asuka, and they've got a little bit of history. Like I said, I know that's what they're playing off of, because wrestlers are always on even after the show goes off, which is why she put out the picture like, oh, I just literally gave this bleep my title. Like I literally gave her that title because I believed in her. And then she comes interrupting me. So now Becky Lynch can continue her woe is me run. Yeah. Her woe is me heel run. Like I've been screwed. It's not fair. And now I got to sit there and deal with this. I'm like, man, that's perfect. And that's a light that the women are being showcased in WWE that I really don't see anywhere else where it has any type of impact or longevity to it. For example, just as we continue to transition to get all this news and stuff out, before we wrap up, is we just saw that the Iinspiration, formerly known as the IIconics, have just left Impact Wrestling. Yeah. I don't know what's going on.
And that's why I used to think wrestling was great for women over there, to be honest with you.
I didn't, because like nobody really watches Impact like that. Like this, and their show is only but so long for them to have a showcase for. Like they had women's tag titles. Well, how many? Really? WWE can barely have their women's tag titles defended. You know what I mean? Like what's their real names?
Billy Kay and Jesse. I mean, Peyton Royce. I mean,
It's not Peyton Royce.
Cassie Lee, and Jessica
McKay.
McKay, there you go. You know, they made a joint statement. They obviously left Impact for whatever reason. Like they were just on there and now they're gone. What are we doing? Like that's the state of women's wrestling, unfortunately, in other companies, you know. Sure, you appreciate the showcase, but it's like, man, something's not right. If you're genuinely happy where you are and business is good, you're going to stay put. Right, but for them to just all of a sudden they were household names in the WWE because of the way they were displayed,
and they would just stay together. They be in the thick of things right now.
Well, that's Cassie Lee's fault because she came out after the fact and said, "Well, it was my idea to break us up because I wanted to see what I was capable of." And I'm like, right, but that's what got y'all fired.
I mean, she married a perfect 10.
No, he used to be a perfect 10. Now he's just a chair guy.
I never thought he was a perfect 10.
Listen, it was once again that could have been my gimmick.
You would have made it.
You could have gave it. You could have. Who could have easily had that gimmick?
You always say EC3.
You could have given that gimmick to Austin Theory.
I was getting ready to say that though. Like what I was just thinking, like Theory would have killed it.
Bro, he could have came out, I'm Austin Theory, I'm the perfect 10, and did the same thing. Mm-hmm. Dude, that was a layup. But I don't know the situation. I don't know if somebody wants to move on as far as professional wrestling or life or whatever. Who knows? They're
gonna be doing podcasting and modeling. They probably making more money on their website. I don't want to say because I don't know if it's through OnlyFans, but I know they have a subscription-based website that they have. They're gonna make a lot of money through that. They probably I don't need to take no more bumps.
I mean, Emma did the same thing to Neil Dashwood. You know what I mean? She wrestled part-time and she made a killing modeling. Like everybody saw her as this like vixen until they heard her speaking. They're like, oh, she's kind of silly and goofy. Like even WWE, they try to change her gimmick because they tried to incorporate of who she was more into some type of character. Because Emma was kind of goofy, right? Mm-hmm. And to me, I think that's more of her personality than anything. And then she became Emelina because when you see her in these photos, when you look at her as her model, you don't think that type of female looking the way she looks would come out with bubbles and like you don't see that. But they were like, well, let's try to. And then she came out there and she cut the promo, and I'm like, yeah, this isn't gonna work. That's not her. It's almost like Naomi trying to be a heel. She's like, I'm not a bad. I can't do this bad guy stuff. It doesn't work for me. Like when I'm doing it, it's forced. Yeah. So, I don't know the situation. I'm sure there will be more developments when it comes to the Iinspiration, but just. I don't want to I don't want to downplay their run.
No, I know what you mean.
It's difficult when someone gets released or is no longer with the company, and then you expect them to become bigger stars elsewhere because of where they were. And sometimes it doesn't work out that way. And I think they're another example of that. Yeah. Where it's like, okay, you're not a bigger star because of it, and your star power eventually wore off because you were recognizable, but there's an entertainment element that was missing from what made you guys popular in the first place based off the tag team itself, not the individuals. Mm-hmm. Nobody looked at Cassidy and said, oh, wow, man, she's an amazing wrestler. I got to wish her moves are different. It was just she's talented in her own right, but it's like what made them stand out was them being together. Yeah. Right. But what made them stand out being together was their entertainment value, not what they brought to the ring and all that kind of stuff. Like it's just, I don't know. And then all of a sudden, and Impact is a heavy wrestling product, right? Like you're going to get a lot of wrestling Impact because that's what everything's kind of based off of. You got your storylines, you got your gimmicks and stuff like that, but it's a studio show. You know what I mean? It's in a small venue. It's heavy on the wrestling. To me, that's not what they're known for as far as the Iinspiration. That's not what they're known for. They're known for their entertainment value, for the jokes, the laughter, their delivery. That when they got cut from the WWE, I was probably one of the most confusing things I've ever seen. I said, wait a minute. I said, this is exactly what the WWE kind of prides themselves on. Like, hey, you don't got to be the best performer in the ring, but you have to entertain. And that's exactly what they were. So I wish them the best, but, hey.
Yeah, before we get out of here, I want to know two things, touch on AEW. First, I'm going to start off with the announcement tonight at Double or Nothing. Adam Page will be defending the World Championship against CM Punk. How y'all feel about it? Me personally, I think the title needs Punk.
You see my reaction?
It does. Like, I think it's it's just obvious. You know what I mean? It's like, well, come on now. They're not going to pass up an opportunity for CM Punk's name to be in their records.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if they could put the belt on Sting, they would have put the belt on Sting by now. He's just 60-something years old. You know what I mean?
I mean, Sting doing dives. Why not get a world championship run?
I mean, that's because Seth Rollins tried to kill him a couple years ago, but I'm not going to get into that. Say that for like Realness reacts or something.
Oh boy, yeah. Man.
But it's like they're just so predictable after a while. It's just like, all right, I get it. Like Jericho winning the title, being the first title guy. Like, oh duh.
Yeah, we knew that. Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then Moxley. There's like, oh well, duh.
Yeah, and this could set up for the ultimate match with if you do Punk and Okada at that the joint pay-per-view.
They supposed to be doing Punk and Kenta.
Oh, never mind.
Yeah, because it's supposed to be G2S versus GTS. So
that's cute.
And I'm a GTS.
Yeah, man. I think a lot of people responded the same way we did last week when we kind of made the announcement. Well, not made the announcement, when we discussed the announcement about Ring of Honor and New Japan and AEW. Sheesh. Doing this Forbidden Door pay-per-view. Everybody's like, it's great and all, but it's like, well, is it too little too late?
Yeah.
And you look at some of the matchups, you're just like, I'm sure it'll be a good. There's one thing I don't deny the AEW is going to do. They're going to give you a good wrestling show. Yeah. The audience is going to enjoy everything that's in front of them. That's an experience that I would never take away. That's what they're great at. Like,
hey, they'll be here in Baltimore next week. You going?
They be at UMBC.
Yeah,
because nobody's going at Royal Farms while they're renovating, right?
No,
nobody's at the chicken box, baby. No.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. We'll see what the schedule looks like. But
snap!
I know. In fact, hey, when he said it, I got goosebumps, and I got a hoodie on.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see. I mean, it's
nice. It's nice hoodie presented by Restaurant right here. Nice logo.
Designed by the Realness.
But man, you just. It's kind of obvious. Like how long is Hangman Page? He's had it for he's had his run.
Mm-hmm.
Man, I forgot they had a championship. I ain't even gonna lie, bro.
I mean, because they have more popular acts. That's just the best way I can describe it. It's just nothing sticks. I would rather them put the title on Hook right now, just because of his buzz.
Yeah.
Like I'll be locked in immediately because that's just what he does.
He'll be on Rampage. Him and Danhausen go face to face.
He's probably going to tear the fur off Danhausen. Danhausen is a, to me, he's a WWE guy. Like AEW needed Danhausen because he brings that you need entertainment value. You need acts like that to fill in your time because you have a television product that you're trying to put out there. It's not always about the wrestling all the goddamn time.
Mm-hmm.
And when he kind of was there, I was like, oh, that's shocking. Because that's a WWE move. Not that they will hire him, but just you don't know what type of company AEW is. So for them to kind of grab that type of performer, I think it's great for the company. And they need it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
But Hook's going to take him a new one.
I
Sometimes it goes like this. Little Danhausen face does. Like I enjoy that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and then last but not least, your guys, Cash and Dax, the FTR. I'm about to say the Revival. But yeah, FTR squared off against each other to open up the show. I thought it was a great way to open up the show.
It was a good match.
Good, solid, respectable match.
They are obsessed with Bret Hart and his family.
Yeah, you saw that?
Yeah.
What? So wait, are they from Canada?
Not Canadian.
All right, I didn't think so, but I know they have the connection with Edge. which I don't even think Edge lives in. I mean, I'd be wrong, but I thought he lived in Florida or something. But I know they related or something or whatever. They just
Christian lives in Florida.
Yeah, I remember he would always say. As a matter of fact, I'm watching. It's Christian versus Christian defending the Intercontinental Championship against RVD and Chris Jericho. Unforgiven.
Oh, I might have to go back and watch that. That's a good one right there. What do you watch? Is Unforgiven? Which one? What year?
03.
Oh
yeah, I just got finished watching Kane and my bad, Hugh. I didn't let you know. Kane defeats Shane McMahon in a last man standing match, huh?
See what type of friend you are. You just talked about Kane being this guy. You didn't even mention it. You didn't even try to say anything about it.
And this show right here.
You're right.
Like, come on now.
Out of all places.
But yeah, they FTR though, I thought they, I like the gear, I like the tribute to the Hart Foundation. They had their own name. Yeah, so
remember Bret Hart got tackled at the Hall of Fame, and and Cash Wheeler had the Hitman chalk line jacket on.
Yep. They was about to kill that dude.
Bro, he wasn't going to make it tonight. And they, you see everybody's social media footage, and they catch him, and then you see Cash Wheeler like this, just wow,
yeah,
and walked off like he what was going on. I said, yeah, they messed with the wrong.
It's like that time when that dude attacked Seth Rollins, yo. Rollins was about to hook him, and he was about to put him to sleep.
He was ready.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd have been terrible. But these fans are weird.
Yeah, it better stop.
It's gotta chill out. Some stuff ain't that serious. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, I think, like you said, they love the Hart family. It would be nice to see him win the tournament. Dax, the one that won the match. I just really was able to learn the differences between the two because I guess I just never really cared. I like them as a unit.
Dax Harwood and Cash Wheeler. They have great post WWE names. When they announced their new names, I was like, oh yeah, that's tough. that still got revival fans. Just Dax Harwood and Cash Wheeler.
And stories. Stories, about how your boy Sean dissed them.
Yeah, I'm sure Click doing Click things.
Yep.
Once a member of the Click, always a member of the Click.
Shawn Michaels probably just got carried away with the boys, just showing off. I mean, that's just. I'm sure if I know Shawn Michaels, he probably called to apologize. Look, I apologize.
Right.
I was wrong. That's my deep voice, Shawn Michaels. I don't know how well I did. I can't hear myself.
Yeah, you was on point.
So,
but before we get out of here, we all any special shout outs or plugs you need to do?
Realness Reacts coming soon to Patreon. Pew 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 pew.
Oh, that's
finger guns.
Good.
Oh yeah. When I say I'm going to light it up, I'm not talking about drugs. Like it's I'm coming out guns are blazing. And we're going to see how many people really care about what I talk about. And if this Q&A section is going to be massive. Like I'm going to answer as many questions as I can possibly answer in whatever show about whatever topic, about whatever subject, whether you agree with it. I might pick a couple of fights. I might invite some people on so I can argue with. It's gonna be nuts.
Oh, he in his bag, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, you want to see me argue with somebody? You want to see me go to the clip and empty out 5 shells? That's what Realness Reacts is supposed to be for.
Last time you did that,
I'm trying to hear some interesting convos.
I would just leave it at.
Oh, you gonna hear some interesting combos. Realness Reacts. You're gonna see me reacting to a whole lot of things. So
just hopefully they experience what they talk about.
Oh, listen, they're gonna experience once they leave Realness Reacts. You're gonna feel that, experience that. It's gonna be a lot of fun.
Oh man.
I mean, me with my own show, what are they thinking? That's a terrible idea. But it's gonna happen. Yeah. It's gonna happen.
Oh man, brother Hugh.
Man. I'm just excited about this new content that's coming out. So Realness Reacts, D Water's doing this thing. I'm I'm still doing behind the scene thing until I get out there. You never know when I'm gonna jump out. But hey, it's gonna be some good stuff. Y'all stay tuned.
All right. Well, y'all, we appreciate everybody who's tuned in. We appreciate our patrons. Continue. If you haven't done so, get on the Patreon move. Just bless us with $1, bless us with $5, bless us with $10, or bless us with $20. We appreciate it. give a shout out. We actually got a couple giveaways coming up soon, so stay tuned for that. You know, and then like I said, we'll be hitting the road. Matter of fact, let me go ahead and flash that graphic real quick. We will be at HBC UConn. As myself, a graduate of the great Morgan State University, all three of us are. Dr. D, a graduate of Coppin State University, and Corey Saunders, a two-time graduate, once of UMES and also Bowie State University. So we're going to Bowie this Sunday from 2 to 4. Dr. D's Wrestling Showcase. And guess what we're talking, gentlemen? We're talking 20 years later, the Ruthless Aggression era. We're talking ROH 20 years later, and TNA Impact. Well, yeah, TNA NWA's version. Dr. D says, "Where were you?" So
that's gonna be one heck of a conversation. I can't wait for that one.
Yeah, you know, Doc always he loaded up, man. So we'll go out there and stay tuned, because guess what? BlurCon has been you know, I think things are getting situated for that. So
has it been greenlit? I saw the ad for it.
Yeah, I think he's you know, he said details are coming later. So
homecoming theme this year?
I think so.
At least from the logo, that's what I saw. I said, okay, we got a homecoming vibe going on.
Yeah, so man, look, the Realm gonna be busy. Like I said, we got HBC UConn, we got BlurCon, we got Invictus Pro going up there. We got Black Wrestle Fest. We're going up there in June. Jobber Slam in August. So yeah, we busy.
Not to mention that we're about to start. Like we just wrapped up pre-production a couple weeks ago for what season are we on now? I can't keep up.
6.
Season 6?
Yeah, I mean we I mean, for all intents and purposes, we could call it season 11, but you know, 6.
You know, season 6. You know, so I remember we sat down, we put a lot of ideas, we put a lot of pen to paper, man. So, and we came up. I don't remember coming up with this much before. I remember we came up with a few things, then we just kind of began a spiral. Man, I think we hitting our stride. I think, you know, that's why everybody's trying to get themselves back together, get back on this camera, and so we can just put out.
I ain't gonna lie, I'm thinking like, man, I'm ready to hire editor.
I mean, that's the move. Like I said, man, you can
very high editor. I'm thinking like we think about shooting the stuff. That's the fun part. That's the easy part.
That's the easy part. Yeah,
it's post production.
Yeah, I got some more heavy artillery, so I probably could do a little more editing this time. See,
that's the thing. You get it. I'm good. I'm too hands on. I'd be like, nah, you ain't do that right. Nah, and I don't want to make no enemies.
No, that's all good. I take a crack at it. I can get back into editing some more. Like I said, I got some more heavy artillery I can operate with now. So, but that's another thing I'm looking forward to, man. That's the bread and butter. Like that's always going to be like home. You know what I mean? Like that's where we got started. That's, you know, where we get a chance to kind of like, I know on a podcast, we kind of talk about stuff that's kind of current, but you know, that aspect we can kind of go, you know, in the flagship show, the original Wrestling Realm show, we can go more into depth about certain subjects and certain topics, and we can kind of tackle some things that we don't, you know, always have the time to tackle in you know, on a time sensitive podcast. So man, I'm just I'm looking forward to it, man. With that, I think we're rolling. The brand is growing. I appreciate everybody that supports us, and we want to get back out there, especially myself, to kind of support everybody else that's been kind of holding down and supporting us for so many years. And so yeah, I'm ready to hit the road.
Yeah, let's do it. All right, gentlemen, let's get out of here. We appreciate all the support as always. Until the next time, folks, y'all know the deal. Too sweet.
Houston, we have a problem.
Yes!